Through you, Mr. Chairman, and allow me to address members of this House on these occasions as brothers and sisters, because when we approach a theme like this, we must look upon one another only as brothers and sisters. Cancer knows of no political differentiation, class differentiation, ethnic differentiation. And as we approach a theme like this, we must recognize and appreciate how all that which divides us as South Africans, and I am an adoptive South African, all that which divides us is so much smaller than all that which unites us as human beings. United in the tragedy of being alive, united in the tragedy of being sick, united in the tragedy of feeling the brunt of a disease which has long been forgotten and ignored by this government, much more than other governments have. Cancer has become the Cinderella priority of our health system and of our society, when in fact cancer is not just a health emergency, it's a societal emergency. We must train, educate our individual response, motivated by a collective and societal response, which proceeds from the fundamental awareness that cancer can be beaten, first and foremost, in the individual and the collective psychology. So if there is one thing that this debate must do, is to motivate, conjure, and master the psychological energy for a renewal of attitudes, for a new solidarity, which proceeds from the realization that cancer is not only a physiological disease, but it turns also into an emotional and psychological one, which requires the support of all beyond any existing divide. And we must create the space for therapies to take place. The reality is that cancer is a pandemic which is bound to grow. We have no reliable figures in South Africa. The cancer registry has not been updated since 2005, and it was fault to begin with. Many cancer deaths are ascribed to the overdose of morphine. We can guess that 800,000 people, perhaps 1 million people, million South Africans, 1 million brothers and sisters die to cancer every year. And that number is bound to increase. We cannot have a government response, a health response, which is based exclusively on the triad, the trinity of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiotherapy. People are dying of cancer, but they're also dying because they're not allowed to have equally effective treatments. Chemotherapy has been proven to be ineffective in 95, perhaps 97% of the cases, in which it does not lengthen life expectancy and does not improve on the quality of life. Think what you would do with your cell phone if it did not work in 97% of the cases. And that's all we are making available. There are other treatments like mistletoe injection, ozone therapy, bicarbonate of sodium, Chinese Artemisia annua, the cannabis oil, the DACA, the hyperthermic therapy, the oxalate therapy, the ketogenic diet, salvestrol, nutritional supplements ranging from turmeric to fenugreek, alkalizing diets, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, stem cell therapy, and many others. People are dying of cancer, but also dying of lack of therapy, which we have made illegal. People are dying of bad policies, bad laws, and lack of government attention. We are not going to have a national health system if we rely on chemotherapy alone for the very simple fact that there is not enough money in the budget to provide chemotherapy to all those to whom chemotherapy will be prescribed. I have a great deal of attention, public attention has been given to my call to legalize marijuana, which is part of the bill I introduced. But that's a small segment of what our government can do and what our government must do. None of these treatments that I've mentioned are any silver bullet, but neither is anything else we have. We need to create centers where these treatments can be administered under controlled conditions, because they are now administered to thousands of people under conditions which are not controlled. And house care, we are facing a situation of thousands of people self-medicating because doctors cannot prescribe these treatments and cannot monitor their effectiveness. The world is changing into new type of therapies, and for once we must be followers, we must be leaders and not followers. And I hope, Mr. Chairman, that this debate will open the policy space for making that happen. I understand my time has expired if I read that correctly. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last debate of this fourth Parliament of the Republic of South Africa, I think, has proven the strength of this nation and its capability of coming together in unity and in the recognition that what united us is stronger of all that which divides us when the need arises. And I think it's proper and fitting that it took place as the last word before we go into an election which is always divisive. And I hope that the spirit of this debate, the fact that we have proven that in the spirit of Ubuntu, we recognize our shared humanity. This spirit can create a foundation for the governance of South Africa after elections, irrespective of whoever and whichever party will carry the burden of governing the country. This debate proves that when it comes to matters of importance, it doesn't matter who raises the issue. Issues are issues. We should never look at the messenger, but look at the message. And the message that has been brought here today is that cancer is an emergency, which requires the coordinated, multifaceted efforts of all segments of society, not just the Minister of Health, not just one therapy, all therapies, all communities, all families. It's an educational problem, it's a scientific problem, it's first and foremost a societal problem. And I think that this debate has lived up to the expectations that many placed in this Parliament on these and on other occasions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.